Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Today we'll be discussing about some basic concepts of music. More importantly, the Indian classical music and the Carnatic music system itself. This is very important because knowing some terms is very important towards the understanding of the music system itself. If you look at Indian classical music, we see that melody and rhythm are very, very important, or rather, I would say that the fundamental aspects of our music, where we see that in Indian classical music again, they come together in many ways, be it the Hindustani music or the Carnatic music. But today, and through my lectures, I'll be discussing more so about Carnatic music. So we'll stick to this domain towards our understanding of these terms. Now, what is melody actually? Melody is the sound or the movement of sound which is expressed through arrangement of various musical notes. So the melody again is a series of notes we have to understand. So if we take our system, Carnatic music itself, we see that suppose I sing sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So here I sang the 7 swaras for you. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So you saw sa re ga ma pa dha and ni, or Shadja, Rishabha, Gandhara, Madhyama, Panchama, Daivata, Nishada, coming together to give us a melody, a Sampurna melody here, in the sense that all the notes came in their regular order. Now, in order to understand this whole system of melody, in our Indian classical music, the Adhara Shadja becomes very, very important. And all the swaras, other swaras that we are singing, whether Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, everything bears a relevance only with the coming together of this Shadja here. So now I have tuned my Shruti to the pitch of G. So where I sing the Sa as Sa. So only when I sang that Sa as that, and then I sang Re, then only you'll be able to understand what variety of Re this is. If I just switched off my tambura and sang one note, you'll not be able to actually identify what the note is. So that way, the Adhara Shadja is more like what you call as the foundation stone of the whole building. Without a proper foundation stone, any amount of multi-story building you are going to construct, it's going to collapse. So similarly here also, and the Shadja here is the base, the very foundation on which the entire system works. And all the other swaras that we are talking about, now we'll be talking about the variety of swaras and other things later, everything bears relevance only in the context of this Shadja. Now, when you look at the other swaras at a very preliminary level as a student, now we may not be able to discuss about what variety of Re or Ga or other things that we are going to sing. But at least when I sing, you'll be able to understand that each note progresses in the higher range towards the melody. So like Sa Re, when I sang the Re was definitely higher in terms of the soundscape of Sa. So the next note Ga becomes higher, then Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, Sa, like this. Sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa. Later on, we'll also be discussing about the varieties of this combination. Here, of course, you saw that all the 7 notes were there. So these kind of ragas where there are 7 notes in the scale up and down in a regular movement are called the Sampurna ragas. Then sometimes some notes may be absent in that particular ragam, like Mohanam, Sari ga pada sa, sada pa ga re sa. Where you saw Sari ga, then the ma was not there. Pada sa, ni was not there. So like this, there are various permutation and combinations in which these swaras come together to create various ragas. Now we must also understand that the ragas are not mere scales but melodic entities. This also we have to understand, like a human being, they all have their own characters. Now in this context, I would like to explain the term gamaka, which is very, very important to our Carnatic and Hindustani music. Of course, each system operates on different kinds of gamakas, but what I want to mention here is that the gamaka gives the life and soul to the raga. And without the gamakas, the system would be totally lackluster and lifeless. Now, what does gamaka mean? Let us look at this term. Gamaka is basically the embellishment of a note. That is, we are trying to ornament that particular note with some oscillations. The root word for this gamaka is gam or gacha, which means to go. So gamaka means actually, it refers to gamana or the movement. The movement of the notes is what we call as the gamaka. And with regard to the system of music that we are talking about, Carnatic music here, there are different ways again in which the gamaka is to be oscillated. Now, when as students of music, sometimes I also see many of the students, they think that gamaka is just about pushing a note, and they think that if they push a note very well and very hard, that means they are being very classy. It is not like that. Every raga has got certain ways in which the gamakas operate on the notes. So, though it may be the same Gandhara, for example, if you take the ragam Abogi, Sari ga ma, this is the Sadharana Gandhara. So, Sari ga ma da sa, sa da ma ga re sa. Where you saw that the Gandhara was operated like Sari ga. So the same Gandhara, when it comes into a ragam like Shri, you see, Sani pa ba re ga re sa. Well, it is the same Sadharana Gandhara that I'm singing here, but see that because of the concept of gamakas, Sani pa ba re ga re sa. Or in the same Janya of the Karahara Priya, we see Mani Rangu, Sani pa ma ga re sa, Sani pa ma ga re sa. If you listen intently, you would see here that it is the same Gandhara that we have been using for all the three, and all the three were Janyas of Karahara Priya. But because of the concept of gamakas, we see that the soundscape offered by each of these was quite different. So from this, let us see what a gamaka actually means. Because again and again, as I say, this is the life and blood of our music itself. Now, gamaka can be the plain rendition of a note also. So gamaka just does not mean that you have to keep on oscillating. Sometimes it may be a very, very small kind of a oscillation like Gama, not Gama. That is a higher oscillation. Now, smaller oscillation, Gama. Or sometimes you see that the note may be plain, like in Amrita Varshini, Sa Ga Antara Gandhara, Sa Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa. So where the notes by themselves are more plain in nature, they don't require the kind of gamakam that would be required in a todi or a bhairavi. So that lends an aesthetic beauty to that particular ragam. Or sometimes the extent of movement upward or downward. Now for downward, let us take the example of Saveri, where you see the Rishabha oscillates in a downward movement touching the Shadja, like Sari All this requires very intent listening. That is very, very important for you to understand the concept of gamakas. Otherwise, it will be only a Shuddha Rishabha. So in Saveri, Sari, where the Rishabha, Shuddha Rishabha, starts on the Sa itself, and the movement for that it takes or rather encompasses the Shadja throughout the Gamaka movements. Or for example, in Begada, Pamagari, Nida Pamagari. So where it's an upward movement, that is from Pa, the Ma actually takes its course. So there are different ways, and we see that the Gamakas are operated. So just writing it as a Lakshana and saying that the Ga comes from the Pa, or in Saveri the Ri comes from the Sa, is not adequate. Actually, in any amount of explanation cannot really give you a feel of how these Gamakas operate. So there, these practical examples play a very, very important role for you to understand how these Gamakas operate. And as students of music, on the practical side, let me tell you that understanding the intricacies of these Gamakas is very important for you to understand the Swarupa of a raga. Just by saying that this ragam takes Antaragandhara, this ragam takes Sadharana Gandhara, this ragam takes Pratimadhima, doesn't kind of, give you an account of how the raga sounds in terms of the Gamakas incorporated. For that, we need to have proper practical training. And that is where, again, I also say that a guru is very important for you to show how the movement or the Gamakas of music operate. Now, coming to the next aspect of our music, which is the rhythm or the layam, what we call. And in Indian classical music, be it Hindustani music or Carnatic music, we see that with the means of the talam, we kind of, bring out this aspect of rhythm. So, we see that tala has a specific count. Each count is called a matra. So, if you look at the talam, for example, Adi talam, we could say that it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, here you would see that I will be talking about the varieties or the parts later to tell you what is a lagu, what is a dhrutam, and how they come together to form the different talas. But nevertheless, here you saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, if I put the talam like this, immediately you will be able to understand that this was Adi Tala. For anybody who knows music, they'll understand that I had put one lagu here and then one dhrutam and one dhrutam. So the Adi Tala basically encompasses one lagu and two dhrutam. So you are able to understand that is Adi Tala. Now if I put another talam, for example, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Immediately the parts you would assess is that it has got a dhrutam and a lagu, which means that it is a Rupaka talam. So that way we could say that the talam has got different angas, about which we will also be discussing later. And arranging these angas in different patterns also gives us different talas. For example, 2 talas may have a total of matra, means the total counts. So 2 talas may have the same matras, but then the internal structure becomes different. For example, if you take the Matya talam, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we had 10 counts or matras here. Now let me give you another example among the Sapta talas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again I repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So you would see here that the Matya Tala that I presented before also has got 10 matras. The Jampa Tala here I presented also has got 10 matras. But you would have also seen how the internal structure of each was different. So that also is very important. When you sing a composition, you will understand later when I talk about composition, how the internal structure is very, very important. Thus, when you are singing a composition, suppose it is set in Matya Tala, the composer would have visualized the particular composition in a way that it fits into Matya Tala. So you can't say that Jampatala also has got 10 counts, so let me try to put it into that. Finally, it may end properly, but then the internal structures, there'll be a lot of difference. So it is very important for us to understand that every tala has got respective angas or the kind of parts which have to be understood in order to have a complete cognizance of what a tala is all about. The next aspect in this understanding of terms, very basic terms, but we have to really know them in order to understand both the Lakshya and the Lakshana aspect of our music. The next is what we call as the Kala. Kala denotes the speed in which the swaras are sing. We'll be talking about notation later, and then at that time it will be more explicit. But let me give you a very simple explanation with the Sarali versa itself, that Sarigama Padani. Suppose I'm singing Sarigama Padha Ni Sa. So where you saw that Sarigama. So for each beat, I was actually putting one swaram. So that is called as what we call as the Vilamba Kala. Here, the Vilamba Kala means where we sang one note per beat. Look again here. Sari ga ma pa dha ni sa. Now the same thing, if I sing with 2 swaras per beat, it becomes Madhyama Kala, like Sari ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. I repeat, you see how within one beat I am putting 2 swaras are getting accommodated, like Sari ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Now the same thing, if I'm going to sing in a Durita Kala, I will fit 4 swaras within one particular beat, like Sari ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Sari ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Suppose I want to sing Ati Durita, the next beat, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Where I fitted 8 notes into one particular beat. So that way we see that the Kala is very, very important in the context of our Carnatic music, where understanding the Kala is also very important towards understanding the notation. Because when you'll be singing a composition later, you'll be learning a lot of compositions in your BA and MA courses, of course. So when you are singing the song, understanding this Kala and how they are indicated in notation, all this is very, very important for us to understand the compositions itself. And of course, this Kala is also very important in our basic practice. This Kala is important for us to have a complete or a proper control of the rhythm. So when I'm singing sa ri ga ma, here I'm also able to kind of understand how much breath I have to hold to kind of prolong that note. Sa ri, then sa ri ga ma, sa ri ga ma, sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. So when I'm singing that Sarigama Padanisa Sanida Magarisa, that Kala, for understanding the Kala, even the breath control, how we have to sing, so many things come into the kind of consideration here. Then we come to the basic talas in our Carnatic music, which are the Adi Tala. Then we have what we call as the Rupaka Tala and the Chapu Talas, Mishra Chapu and the Khanda Chapu Talas. This we will be discussing in detail in our later episodes. But nevertheless, the point here is that the melody and rhythm are very, very important to our Carnatic music and Hindustani music system. And if you look at the what we are performing in the performance genre, in the grammar part, we have many such kind of classifications of thalas, classification of melodies, which can be actually mathematically, you can arrive at very many things. Because again, mathematical calculation and the permutation combinations are absolutely infinite for melody as well as for the rhythm. So if you take a particular scale, we see that with that various permutation combination, we can create so many scales out of it. Similarly, in tala also, through permutation combination, we can create so many varieties of talas. But when it comes to the practical domain, we see that only some of them which are aesthetic come to the fore. For example, if you take ragam like Karara Priya, there are many ragas which Tyagaraja derived from that. But then some of the ragas which are more aesthetically pleasing, they have come to become very prominent, and those ragas have also been used up by other composers who came later. But some ragas which more actually kind of rely on the scale element, they have survived only through the compositions of Tyagaraja, and after that you see that it has been hardly handled like that. Or for example, in the realm of Thalam also, we see that though we have the Mattiya Thalam, Dhruva Thalam, Jhampa Thalam and all that, even for that matter, if you look at the Triputa Thalam, Adi Thalam is nothing but a common name for a Chatusra Triputa. So this aspect of Chatusra Triputa Thalam has become what is commonly known as Adi Thalam. That has come into the fore and become very popular, and you see that many composers from the pre-Trinity time to the Trinity time to the post-Trinity time, all of them, they have handled this Adi Thalam in so many ways. Of course, in Adi Thalam, there are also the possibilities of what we call as the Edipu, which we'll be discussing later, which has given more possibilities in terms of exploring the Thala for the compositions. And again, interestingly, the Chapu and the Thalas, that is Mishra Chapu and Khanda Chapu, which does not come under the domain of the Suladi Saptatalas, yet from the folk music, as I always say, our Carnatic music system is a very broad-minded people have been there always, I would say, in the sense that we have always absorbed the best elements from different systems all over the world. So from folk music, we have absorbed some things, from Hindustani music, from Western music also we have absorbed, like that from different systems of music, we have absorbed the very best to create our own system. So that way the Chapu Thalam, the Khanda Chapu and Mishra Chapu originally belonged to the folk music, but then it has become so classy when it was absorbed into our Carnatic music. As I was mentioning to you about the parts of the Thalam, which actually gives us cognizance of what Thalam it is. In that we have actually what we have is the 6 types of angas like Lagu, Dhrutam, Anudhrutam and then Plutam, Kakapadam and all is there. But the main kind of, angas which come into the fore in the Shuladi Saptatalas are the Lagu, Dhrutam and Anudhrutam. Now these Lagu, Dhrutam, Anudhrutam come together in different permutation combinations to give us different talas. So I'll try to explain this a bit more to you. For example, if you take the Dhruva Thalam, let us first explain what a Lagu, Dhrutam and Anudhrutam is. Again, this is very important for us to understand the kind of components of the Thalam, and also when you are learning compositions or when you are looking at notation, the understanding of the symbols and what is the value they represented, all this is very important for understanding of the notation, understanding of the composition and understanding of the music itself. So a Lagu is nothing but a beat of the hand, and then you have finger counts. Beat and then finger counts makes the Lagu. Now in the Lagu there are different varieties of Lagu here. We'll talk about that also now. But after this comes the Dhrutam. Dhrutam is nothing but the beat and the wave of a hand. The beat and the wave of the hand. So you would have seen that beat is 1, wave of the hand is the back side. So the value of this Dhrutam here is 2. Anudhrutam, which we talk about, comes only in the Jhampa Thala, in the 7th Thalas you see in that Jhampa Thala Anudhrutam comes. So the Anudhrutam is nothing but the beat of the hand. So just beating of the hand means 1 matra. So here the 2 angas which have got a constant value are the Anudhrutam and the Dhrutam. Anudhrutam value of 1, Dhrutam is beat and then the wave of the hand, which means that it is 2. But the Lagu is very interesting because of the fact that it admits of 5 varieties. You have the Tishra Lagu, Chatusra Lagu, then Khanda Lagu, Mishra Lagu and Sankirna Lagu. So what does this mean? What does, when I say Tisra Lagu, what does it mean? Tishram, Chatusram, Khandam, Mishram, Sankirnam again defines the variety and the number. Here, Tishram means 3, Chatusram means 4, then Khandam means 5, Mishram means 7, and Sampurnam means 9. Now, in the Saptatala Alankaras that we'll be singing later also to show you what it is, we see that these kinds of lagus are incorporated. And if you look at all the 7 talas, you see that the different kind of lagus are incorporated. Like, for example, in the Triputa Talam, you would have seen sa ri ga ma. So, sa ri ga 1, 2, 3. So, you would have seen the Tisra lagu being used here. Or suppose I said in Adi Talam, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, where you would have seen that here, sa ri ga ma, suppose I sing. So, here you would have seen that lagu value is 4 here. Now, let us look at another talam where the lagu value is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you would see that sa ri ga, sa ri ga. So, sa ri ga, where the value was 5. And in the Jampatalam, you see that the value is 7. And then, of course, the Sankirnam is 9. So, that way we see that here, the lagu which we are talking about actually has got different varieties, whereas the Dhrutam and the Anudhrutam which we are talking about are constant and have constant values. Thus, we could say once again that the melody and rhythm, actually, if you look at a larger perspective, in any form of music in the world, the melody and rhythm play a very, very important role as the basic components of the music. Now, pinning down to Indian classical music, we could say that in Hindustani music also, in Carnatic music also, the melody and rhythm play a very important role. Coming down more specifically to Carnatic music, we see that the melody and rhythm are indeed the fundamental aspects on which the entire system actually is kind of reliant, or it sits on the base of the melody and rhythm. And sometimes or many times the Sahitya also come into the fold. But behind the Sahitya, we see that it is very important whether it is Kalpita Sangeetam or Manodharma Sangeetam. We are going to deal with both these technical terms and what all it encompasses in the later lectures. But whatever be the kind of music that we are presenting, we see that melody and rhythm are very, very important. They are the core fundamental aspects of Carnatic music.